hope to have very good discussions on a series of key topics that are very near the heart of the European project. First of all, the issue of tax havens. I want to establish the views of colleagues, and then at the end of the discussion, I want to point the way forward with the help of the Commission so that they will get more in-depth work done with a view to taking action at an early date. The second debate is about a topic that we're particularly interested in Ireland. We have seen the United States where they fund their economy out of the markets to a large extent rather than out of the banks. The ratios are about 2/3, 1/3 market funding, where it's almost the reverse in Europe. We think there's scope for non-bank funding to ensure that there is working capital and equity available to business in Europe, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises. And in that context, fixing on alternative financing, we'll have a general discussion on the jobs and growth issue in Europe, with particular focus on youth unemployment. And then, as you know, the IMF, the World Bank and the G20 have their meetings in Washington next week, and I'll be going out there. So as part of the presidency, on the G20 I'll be the European political representative. So I need guidelines for the discussions in Washington. So we'll have a discussion on that at the end of the meeting. I suppose in order of importance, the debate on alternatives to bank funding will be very important, and I would hope to get some developments in that. And then the tax issues, and of lesser importance would be the G20, because it looks as if the agenda is pretty routine and there are no big issues that we expect to emerge in Washington. I think the tradition in Europe is to fund through the banks. If you look at the economies, the relative strengths of economies, the United States is a bigger economy than Europe, but at the same time, the banking industry in Europe is far bigger than the banking industry in the United States. And I just think it's the way things were done. And while it worked, but now when there is quite clearly a shortage of credit in certain countries, particularly on the periphery, we're looking at alternatives. And the way to look at the alternative is to look at the model where they have other ways of doing business. No. Well, we're a very transparent, accountable country in terms of taxation. One shouldn't confuse low tax regimes, whether they're personal taxes or company taxes, with the idea of tax havens. Tax havens are artificial mechanisms for evading taxes. It's quite within the competence of every country under the treaties to pitch their own level of taxation. So the two things shouldn't be confused. It's very hard to say. The laggard in that respect is Moody's. I met the principals of Moody's earlier in the week and had a long discussion with them. But I wouldn't attempt to predict the disposition of rating agencies. But certainly we've had a whole series of credit-enhancing events in Ireland since January. I mean, broadening the tax base, introducing property taxes, selling the COCOs in Bank of Ireland, selling Irish Life, getting a new arrangement on the promissory notes, and now the extension of maturities. So it's all moving in the same direction and improving Ireland's credit position. So I'm sure that Moody's will move to reflect that in their ratings, as the other principal rating agencies have done previously.